Welcome to She Talks Money, your sleek, smart, and stylish guide to building wealth with confidence. From real estate to passive income, we're serving the strategies that turn ambition into assets. I'm your host, Jennifer Butcher, real estate investor and mortgage expert with over 23 years of real-world experience, and I'm here to help you design a life that looks good, feels good, and pays well. Today, we have Kari Smith, a financial advisor and director of development with her firm Northwestern Mutual. Her team's purpose is to increase space for your joy in your life by decreasing the stress finances can cause. We want you to spend your life fully living and doing what you love, not worrying about money. I love that. We serve high-achieving people who are in seasons of progressive transitions. So that might be growing a family, running a business, getting a promotion, buying property, inheriting money, and more. Most of these seasons bring financial decisions along with them, and they are there to help with that. She is blessed to also help lead her firm through recruiting and developing great humans who walk through their doors for their career journey. Growing up in Minnesota, this just touches my heart. Hockey was a huge part of her life. I live in the ice arena, I feel like, so we have that in common. Her family loves to watch it and play it to this day. She is a mom of 2 little humans and a fluffy doodle, so they have a lot of energy going on in their house. And when she's not with clients, she is with her family or in Arizona, golfing, walking, trying new fitness classes, connecting with other strong women, going after it in life, being by water and in the sunshine. I think you're going to see a common theme on this podcast of strong women taking care of themselves and taking care of others. So welcome, Kari, to She Talks Money.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
We're excited to have you. So, guys, in today's episode, we're going to cover a wide range of information. So buckle up. We, first of all, want to know, when is it right to have a financial advisor, and when is it going to serve you most to have someone helping you make those decisions? How do you get on the same page with your spouse about money? How do you understand and gain confidence about investing? What do you do with finances, investments when there's a lot of fear, change, and uncertainty in the world? I feel like we all can recognize that right now. How do I know if I'm on track for retirement, and how much do I need to save and invest to get there? And we're also going to talk about a few tips and tricks on budget, cash flow, saving, and spending, and how do I plan as a business owner who might not have the benefits of a company or a 401k. So let's get into it. Kari, first and foremost, when do you feel like it's right for someone to hire a financial advisor, and what do you feel you bring to the table versus someone trying to make some of those decisions on their own?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we did an event where it was a group of women, and we let everyone do anonymous Q&A because money can be so emotional. And that was when we pulled all of them all out of the hat or the basket. That was the most common question. When you think about it, a lot of the clients I meet with, they're all really intelligent people that could probably manage a lot of this stuff on their own, but it's just a matter of do you want to, right? Life is busy. Do you want to spend hours on hours researching this stuff and pouring time into this stuff? And so what I say is the best time to engage with an advisor is when you're in a proactive season of you're in a proactive place, not a reactive place. And so I mentioned that, a lot of big transitions can trigger a conversation with an advisor. That's great, a great time to engage. But what I think is even better is if you can do it before a lot of those things happen. Just like you want a good mortgage advisor or a good realtor or a good social media person, it's you probably want to vet that person or have that person on your team before those things happen. So you're not operating out of a place of stress and anxiety and reaction. You're being proactive.
So my husband and I, starting out, I share with people that we did something really right and we did something really wrong. So we did right by living below our means. We didn't buy the bigger house when we could afford it. We really tried to save as much as we can, but we saved it. And to think all of the money I missed out on by not investing it sooner kind of makes me sick. But at the same time, it's a lesson learned that I can now share with others. So I think starting earlier than later to be educated on it and have somebody guiding you through that is crucial.
For sure. Well, hey, that's a good problem, right? Though you're a good
absolutely.
saver,
Yeah.
and you made some really good choices too. And But absolutely, that's awesome. So once you did have that conversation, like what was helpful or what triggered you guys to have that conversation then?
We had a baby, so that used a
That'll do it.
transition, right?
That'll
Baby
do it.
came along and, yeah, you start to think more grown up, I guess.
For sure.
We were like, "Okay, here we are. We're actually adulting. We're
Yeah.
adults. We're responsible for another human. We better get our stuff together."
Fair.
So we started thinking more long term and
Yeah.
buying a bigger house and what that would look like, and just opened up the conversation, and we were like, "We better have somebody help us with this
Yeah.
because I didn't wanna manage it, quite honestly. I had enough on my
S
plate." So,
For sure. That's such a good point. It's like, again, a lot of our clients are very intelligent. They've done great savings. Like, I think not to go off track here, but it's like I think the misconception about having an advisor is I either need to be like in a really hard spot or a bad spot, quote unquote, or I need
mhm,
to have like millions and billions of dollars to manage. And the reality lies in the middle where it's like just a
mhm.
really good couple that's worked hard, saved, lived below our means, and they know they can take it to another level. They just almost need a team to help like offload some of the mental capacity that it takes to plan.
Yeah, and organize it, right?
Yeah,
Like, how risky do I wanna be? Where do I wanna be in 3, 5, 10 years? What are some big things coming up? And
for sure.
you can kinda help guide that. So,
For
great,
sure.
great answer.
Yeah.
So, how do I understand and gain confidence about investing?
Mhm. Yeah, that is such a good question, and I think there's a few thoughts I have there is get educated on the market and investments, and it's hard to say okay, you can say, "Yeah, okay, I wanna go get educated," but it's like, where do you start,
Right.
right? And so a few things I could offer up is, there's you Google investments, you're gonna come across a lot, and you're gonna have to sift through a lot, and then a lot of people just get analysis paralysis and don't do anything, right? And there's a lot of good like social medias out there, and there's also some that maybe aren't so good that are talking about a lot of this stuff, and it's hard to know where to get your information. So my two thoughts are economists are great to follow, and so the couple that so people who genuinely just like talk about the economy and the history of the market, and a couple I can offer up is there's Ben Carlson. He's a certified financial analyst. He has a monthly newsletter, weekly newsletter called Wealth of Common Sense. And there's a guy named Michael Finka. There's a few other ones I like too. So if you want to reach out, I can share those. But listening to economists, if you really like to get in the weeds. Otherwise, I would say just start having conversations with different types of advisors, financial advisors, and vet them out and have them meet you where you are. And there's no shame in saying, "Hey, I don't know anything about the market." Like you could be incredibly established and successful in some industry. Maybe you run a business that does photography, but it's like the financial stuff. It just feels like, oh my gosh, I never took a class about this. I feel like such a beginner. I'm like, a lot of people say they're embarrassed or they feel behind, but it's like,
Mhm.
behind what, right? And so I'd say start having some conversations with advisors and have them make sure they're meeting you where you're at on your knowledge and your investment journey. And those are really great places to start is follow economists and just start vetting out some advisors and really seek out education. Like if you leave there feeling like I don't understand anything that was said, it was all over my head, probably not the right advisor for you. But if you left there being like, wow, they broke that down on a level that I could digest and I can start with, and I'm starting to feel more comfortable of taking that first step, like that's probably a good advisor or a good place to start. So those are my two pieces on just like
That is
investment knowledge.
That's amazing, amazing advice. And so along with that, because I'm feeling it right now and hearing from it from a lot of clients that, it's kind of scary times. Like it is a little bit unpredictable right now, which
Mhm.
we don't like, right? Because you say
For sure.
economist, like you're speaking my language, but that's all we read and follow every single day in my line of work. But it's kind of here and there and everywhere right now. And a lot of we're
Mhm.
in unprecedented. Can we just get some precedented times?
I
Like,
know, right?
we're
When
kind of in unprecedented
ever.
times, right? So, what is your advice to people who are feeling fearful, and saying, "I just wanna keep my money. I don't wanna do
Mhm.
anything because I'm scared. I'm scared, and I don't know
Mhm.
what's happening." Like, do you have any advice for them right now?
Yeah, great question, and we've talked with a lot of clients recently about it because it's valid, it's
Mhm,
real. Like, there's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of change, and it's natural during these times to question everything, and, if you look at history, if you look all the way back, we have data from the market from the Great Depression to today. There's always going to be scary things happening, sad things happening. The Great Depression, '08, right, with
mhm.
housing, wars, like what we're all going through now. It's like there's always going to be uncertainty. And frankly, when those things are happening, these are the times where, number one, it's good to have an advisor because it can be really emotional, and it's hard to make really good decisions or stay the course with investing when you're emotional. And so having a trusted advisor to help you stay steady during these times. And frankly, during these times, the best thing to do, even though it's not exciting to hear, it's like stay boring and stay the course.
Mm.
If you think about it, if you like pivoted or like win all the cash in an account just because there was some scary things going on, like that would make for such a roller coaster of an investment experience over your
Mm-hmm.
life. And so my 2 cents is work with an advisor, have a very strong, diversified strategy, and stick with it.
Great answer. Um, so I think this next question is really important, and I think there's like a split of a lot more. I'm seeing more and more people, and I feel like not paying as close to it, attention to it as they maybe should be. I feel like with social media and, oh, my friends took this. It's not even just keeping up with the Jonases anymore,
Yeah.
right? It's keeping up with everybody that's on your Facebook or your Instagram feed. How do you know if you're on track for retirement, and how much do people need to save and invest to get there?
Yeah. Great question, loaded question,
Mm-hmm.
fun question. I think it's the question everyone's always wondering, and a question that can bring a lot of excitement, but a lot of stress too. And so, just breaking it down into a couple pieces there. Number one is, I guess let's start with budget and cash flow and saving. So, as an advisor myself, the word budget, like I don't even like it. It makes me cringe. I just personally I don't like feeling. It brings thoughts of like restriction, and like for me, it's like if you tell me I can't have a cookie, then I'm thinking about a cookie, right? You want the cookie. And so for in my experience with my own finances as well as with our clients, what I like to say is like a cash flow system.
Mm.
And so it's level setting whenever we go through a big life transition. So for you guys, it was having a babe.
Mm-hmm.
For your clients, it's like if they're going into home number 2 or 3 or buying an investment property, it's like, okay, whenever a big thing's happening, just sit down with your spouse or solo or whoever that is that you do that with and really just take toll of like what is coming in, what needs to go out to keep the lights on and keep the bills paid, and then what are you saving, and then what do we need for fun money to allocate for that. And that in a really good, like I like everyone to have a customized financial plan, but a good rule of thumb is 60-20-20, which is, we have money come in and then 60% cover our bills to keep the lights on, keep the roof over our head, and keep lifestyle, and then 20% save for yourself and your future in various different buckets based on your goals. And then the 20% spend and have fun. And you might be a little off on that today, but it's a good rule of thumb to work towards, and your advisor can help you with those actual numbers. But I'm a big fan of like have a fun bucket that you get, and it allows us to enjoy more. It's kind of that discipline equals freedom thing where it's like if you know you're saving the right amount, you know you're paying your bills, what's left you can spend and not feel bad about it.
That's awesome. I love that. And it's so, like you said, it's so important, I think, to the mental health aspect of it too, and helps
Mhm.
you stay diligent in putting that money aside for savings when you know you still have some fun money left over. So
For sure. Yeah, it can
great
be
advice.
it can be stressful when you do it the opposite way where it's like, "Oh, I spent and I feel bad about it. Oh, and then I'm going to try to save. Save first, spend next. Know the fun stuff's there. Do the things you love. Spend your life living right, but do it with peace, knowing that you paid yourself first, you saved, and then you covered your bills, and then we don't have to feel that cycle of, stress and guilt around it."
Do you see many of your clients or encourage them to kind of do what I call my husband and I call like a dream plan, right? Like our life now and our lifestyle now, but what do we want our lifestyle to look like in the future? How much do we want to be traveling? Where do we want to live? Do we want to have multiple properties? Like, where do we want to go? And then kind of back into like, how are we going to afford that? How much money do we need? Do you do some retirement planning with clients to figure those numbers out?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. And I'm a big advocate of like sit down with yourself and your business partner and then yourself and your spouse or yourself solo, like however often that is, whether it's, we call it like a money date, my husband and I, where it's like we go do something fun, but then we also like whip out the cash flow and the goals. But absolutely, I think I'm a big proponent of that for your life, your business, your family. And with clients, when we sit down with someone and we initially do a discovery, we want to know like, hey, what are the goals for this year
Mhm.
and next year? And then what do you see in 5 years, 10 years? And we build out a financial plan and we meet annually to review those. And then it's really fun because the vision part of that is a living, breathing document, we say, where we're crossing things off together. We're seeing their net worth improve. We're adding things to the list. We're celebrating babies and weddings. And I'm a big fan of living in vision. And with our clients, that's super important. And it's really fun to see that tangible progress with them over the years as we update that financial plan.
That's awesome. So fun. Um, so talking about someone like myself and a lot of the people that follow here, like independent real estate agents, self-employed business owners, what advice do you have for those people to help plan when they might not have a company 401k?
Mm-hmm.
They might not have a fixed income. So many people I work with
Yes.
are self-employed where it's myself included. I'm 100% commission. I don't know exactly how much money I'm going to make. We can predict things, but what
Yeah.
advice do you have for those
Yeah.
people?
Oh, so good. So good. And I'm a business owner myself. I'm within Northwestern Mutual, but we operate our practices individually there. And so I know what it's like. And I love working with business owners because of this, because I think there's a lot of pros, there's some challenges too, right? Um, there's still amazing opportunities to plan, even if you don't have typical employee benefits. And so my first bit of advice, and you know it, you've been in the business 23 years,
Mhm,
but like early on, it's good to have a lot of cash on hand.
mhm,
And, that gives us an ability to feel comfortable, to feel like we can go for it, to not feel like it's healthy to feel a little bit of pressure to make money, but it's good to like give you that runway, right, to get built up. And then from there, with income being variable, once you're in the business a few years, we can look at data in the past and just say, okay, you probably know, how many people do you need to meet with for an initial meeting or
right.
whatever you guys call it in your
Oh,
industry. It's
yeah.
like you probably can do some projecting, and then based on what's going on in the
Yeah.
market, you can do some projecting. And then I'm a big fan of just understanding like what are the goals? Like, do you want to save for retirement? Do you want to save for you 2 years out, 5 years out? And if I know that information, we can figure out what buckets make most sense
Mhm,
for you as a business owner. So if it's not a 401k, maybe it's a SEP IRA, a simple IRA, a solo K. There's a lot of great options, but there's also options before retirement, right? Because there's a lot of life to live
mhm,
before then. So the typical we see with business owners is got a lot of cash, maybe some business debt, and then we maybe have an old retirement account out there or something. And it's like there are some buckets in between there that we can really focus on. And I also would say just like make sure you're protecting yourself and your business. So whether it's like some disability insurance or
mm,
business overhead insurance, like you are your biggest asset. So your ability to go drum up business and help your clients, like that is your driver right now. And there's nothing better to invest in than yourself and your business because that's what's going to allow you to do all the financial planning.
so important.
Hmm.
So, being in the business that I'm in, I have to ask you about real estate.
Yes,
So, I'm
of
a big
course.
advocate of, multiple streams of income and not necessarily having all of your eggs in one basket, including not all necessarily in real estate. But when someone talks to you about potentially buying an investment property or even buying a current home,
Hmm.
I know a lot of times the question becomes, and that's where we like to work with their financial advisor
Yeah.
really closely in terms of like, is it more advantageous to take some money out of, it depends what they have. Is it a retirement account, a 401k, some other type of an investment to put more down on a property? Or if they can, are they better off financing more and leaving some of those investments as is?
Hmm. That's such a good question, and I'm curious. I want to hear your take on that too, and ask you a couple questions if that's okay. But
Absolutely.
um, here's my take on buying property. That is like typically with our clients, it's a big topic of conversation. Whether it's a couple trying to buy their first home, or a family trying to buy an investment property, or their second or third home, it's a big topic of conversation. And here's what I'm a big fan of for clients is I want to know like, is this the couple year house or the forever home? And if we've worked together long enough, our goal is that we save and plan so that we have the liquidity accessible, whether it's in cash or like a very balanced
Hmm.
investment account. So the goal is that we've saved for their down payment goal. And what I care about is that they put down enough where they're comfortable and they don't have to like deplete all their
Hmm.
assets, right? Because then if the washer breaks or if they want to buy new furniture, like, okay, I don't have cash for it. So I want to make sure it doesn't completely drain all their assets. So I want to make sure they still have an emergency fund.
Hmm.
Then I just want to make sure they can budget the mortgage payment monthly.
Yep.
And this is where my question is for you. I have you ever do you hear like the marry the house, date the rate?
Yeah.
Like, are you a
Yeah.
fan of
Oh,
that?
yeah.
Do you
Well,
believe in that? What do you think about that?
it's interesting early on that you said you don't like the word budget, and I agree with you because
Yeah.
it's so interesting when I talk to people and I ask them, "Well, what's your monthly budget to buy a house?" People are like, "I don't know. I don't know," like all the time.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. But when I ask, like, how much is comfortable for a monthly payment,
Mhm.
like you get a little bit of a different answer, right?
Yeah.
So when I am qualifying someone, I always base it off and I explain to them, like, let's talk first about the budget or what you're comfortable with for a
Mhm.
monthly payment. And then we can talk about how much I can qualify you for. But most importantly, we want to make sure that your monthly payment on the house is comfortable. And it's also still allowing you to be putting other money aside
For
toward
sure.
investments so that you can accomplish other goals as well. Right.
Yep.
Now, if they can afford the payment on a mortgage by putting a little bit less money down and having more money in investment, then it kind of becomes a comparison of like we
Mhm.
chat and say, okay, if you're earning more over here than the rate you're paying on the mortgage,
Mhm.
well, then it might make more sense to do that. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
For
Um,
sure.
and I always have them say, I always say, talk to your financial advisor and see
That's
what they would
great.
advise that you do, right?
Yep.
But let's work as a team. That's why I always preach like our power teams. Work as a team to help give them the best advice so that
Mhm.
they can accomplish their goals. And
For
try to
sure.
get them thinking also beyond like, what is the plan for this house? Is this your forever house?
Mhm.
Is this your starter house that maybe might be an investment property in 5 or 7 years, and then you're going to buy a bigger? You know what I mean? You have to
Mhm.
get people thinking a little bit outside the just the here and now box so that they can make a better financial decision.
Mhm. That's so good. That's so good. Yeah, and funny you mentioned that with budget, but yeah, and I'm not like super strict on the word budget, but I do believe that it has to be something you can manage monthly and that's very doable and like understanding that's where someone like an expert like you is good. It's like what else do I expect outside of just like the closing costs and the
Yes.
down payment, and there's a lot of people that get surprised by things, and that's where it's good to have someone like you in their corner, but it's just I'm a big fan of like put down what you're comfortable with and what aligns with your budget for your monthly mortgage and that
Mhm.
you can handle that and you're not in over your skis where like you
Right.
can't fund
Yes.
this and that because your future matters too. But being able to swing that, and I don't know about you, but we always say like no more than like 28% of your monthly income towards your mortgage.
Mhm.
And I know you guys have qualifications for that and whatnot, but that's a good rule of thumb as well because people are like, well, I don't know what I can budget. And for those of you that are thinking of going to that next home, this is what my husband and I did, and this is what a lot of our clients do is like whatever the projected difference is in that new mortgage, let's say it's $1,200
Mhm.
and you're like, can we afford this? It's like, well, pay your mortgage that you're paying today and then put $1,200 into a high yield savings or into something accessible, right? If that like a savings account, and then test yourself for a few months, and then you've won because number one, you proved to yourself if you can swing that new mortgage, and number two, you've built up some extra cash for that down payment. So that's a good way to test, like, are you ready to handle that payment? Same thing if you're renting and that home
Okay,
purchase.
I want everybody to go back and listen to that one more time because that is like golden advice, and I have said that so many times, especially even to renters. Like, I don't know, can I make that payment? Am I comfortable with it? I remember when we bought our second house.
Mhm.
We kept our first house, we rented it out, which covered that mortgage, but it was a decent jump to
Yeah.
our next property, and it was like, I'm not gonna lie, it was like giving me a heart attack. I was like, oh my gosh.
I can
And
relate. We were in
then
the same boat. Yep.
and my husband's pretty aggressive. So then within a year of buying that house, I'm like, okay, we're comfortable. We're good with this payment. Rates got really low and he wanted to refinance to a 15-year. And I was like, because that jumps your payment up
Mhm.
obviously more.
Mhm.
Well, my house is now just about paid off right before my kids are going to go to college. And I'm really glad that we did that at the
Amazing.
time. Um, but the same thing is like he was just like, okay, but we've saved X amount here, here, and here over these months. Like, why do you think we wouldn't be able to make that payment? And I'm like, okay, you're right.
Mhm.
So I give that same advice to people. Plan what that payment might be and set that money aside for a few months and see how you feel about it.
For
See how it
sure.
impacts you know what I mean? See how it impacts your lifestyle. What do you have to do to make that happen?
Sure.
So that's great. That's
So
great
good.
advice. I love
So
that.
good. Yeah, it's intentionality, builds confidence, and then it builds cash, which you'll need whether or not you do move into that next house. So that's awesome. I love that you tell them that.
That's awesome. So this is a random question, but I'm seeing more and more people, and I mean, honestly, I wish I knew more about this when I was younger because I think growing up, we were in this world of like a W-2 job. You have one job. That's how
Mhm.
you earn money,
Mhm.
right? Like you have to have a job. That's how you earn money. And that's kind of the only way to go about it. And now we know that's not true. There's multiple streams of income that somebody
Mhm.
can create. So are you seeing more and more of that? People taking advantage of that? Or do you see any commonalities of successful people having, maybe they have real estate, they have these
Mhm.
investments, maybe they're doing side jobs. What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, all of the above.
Okay.
All of the above. Yeah. I always am just chuckling a little bit because when I walk a client through a retirement projection, I kind of chuckle because I think of like my grandpa, for example. He was a teacher for 50 years. He had a pension and social security. He like pulled the plug and retired, and like he volunteered, but he like sat in his chair, watched sports and hung out and went out to his grandkids stuff. And that's great. But like he had a pay, and I remember being a kid being like, where's your money coming from? And he's like, I get a check every month and I budget it and I live within my means. And um life, that's going to be so different for there's
Mm-hmm.
only 7% of people have pensions. There's so many people in businesses that are commission, or they run their own business, or they have real estate income. Like, it's not, I don't even know if it's going to be called like retirement for us, right? It's
Right.
like work optional is what I like to
Mm-hmm.
say with clients. It's like, this doesn't mean you're just kicking back with your feet up like collecting paychecks. Like, this just means you have the ability to walk away from your main income because you've saved and invested enough
Right.
to be able to do that.
Right.
And so that's where early on when I engage with a potential client, I want to know all about their dreams, their goals, what
Yeah.
they've got going on, where they're saving, what's important. And a lot of I had a client this morning and she's like, I don't ever see myself stopping working. I'm like, I hope that's true if you want that. But there's a lot of things that can happen in life, right? So we don't know. And so a good financial plan is knowing what's the goal, what do we want that to look like when it's work optional?
Mm-hmm.
And then are we tracking for that? And are we protecting against the things that are uncertain that could happen and could take that progress down? And so that's where I think having a full financial plan is really important.
Perfect. Last question.
Mhm.
What are you seeing or what, I don't know if it's products, but tips are you giving to parents who want to really create generational wealth,
Mhm.
right? So that's where my real estate background came in. We have commercial property, we have real estate, and some of that, my husband and I have literally said, okay, that's going to be the kid. Like that's the generational wealth that we're
Mhm.
passing on. What are you seeing more of that, or what conversations do you have when clients say like that's really important to them?
Yeah, that's awesome. An awesome question. So when it comes to planning for kids, what I want to ask when I meet with a prospective client is like, what's the goal? What do we want to save
Mhm.
for? And based on that goal, it's cool to see. That's when people really open up. I feel like it's like that
Yeah.
question you asked earlier. It's like you ask it a little differently, and it's cool to hear those stories. So, and a lot of times is rooted in maybe something they wish they would have had from when they were a kid, or that they are missing now as an adult. And so it drums up a really cool conversation. And so if it's like, hey, I had to pay my way through school and I've got a bunch of loans, I don't want my kid to have that. It's like, okay, well, college is the goal then, and something like a 529 is probably awesome for that. But then it's like, okay, I want them to have their wedding covered, or I want to be able to have
Yeah.
and have a property or passive income. It's like, well, great. There's a lot of great options out there. So if I can understand what's the goal, what do you want your child to step into or experience? And then we can find the right bucket, whether it be real estate, different investments, different insurances, things like that.
That's awesome. I love that. And if you can't tell already, Kari is a wealth, literally, wealth of information.
Thank you.
But not only that, I think everybody here can tell that she leads from the heart. I can just truly
Thank you.
see that you care about your clients, and just the way that you're asking questions about their goals and doing whatever you can to help them reach them says a lot about you. So thank you for being on She Talks Money. We will have her contact information and everything you need to know in the show notes. And you just leveled up again. If you're feeling that spark, don't let it fade. Use it. Take what you learned today and go make a money move, no matter how big or small. Make sure you subscribe, leave a review, and share this with a fellow powerhouse who's ready to flip the script on their finances and lifestyle. This is She Talks Money. We don't just talk, we act, build, and rise. See you next time, bosses.